Choosing the right Scrum Master is one of the most important choices that an organization makes when creating a Scrum team. Although there is no perfect formula to finding great Scrum Masters, there are a few qualities that, when present, tend to lead to a higher rate of success than if those qualities aren't present. In particular, great Scrum Masters often exhibit a combination of the right aptitude and the right attitude. But to really appreciate what this means, we'll need to dive a little deeper. First, let's talk about aptitude. The right individual should be well organized. This means you'll need to be able to trust that this individual can keep track of all the pieces of the Scrum framework and ensure that each piece is properly adhered to by the team. And they should also be respected by the team. Most teams have at least a few challenges when first adopting the Scrum framework, whether this is true to simply interpreting the framework incorrectly or even unlearning old habits. When this happens, having the team's respect is necessary for the Scrum Master to successfully coach the team and effect the improvement that's necessary for the team to move forward. This means that the Scrum Master must be respected enough for the team to value their opinion when things start to get tough and to listen to any guidance that the Scrum Master offers when the team struggles, even if it may be guidance that they don't particularly want to hear. Remember that we discourage the Scrum Master role from being filled by someone with authority over the team. So this means that the respect the team has for the Scrum Master has been earned naturally, likely by the Scrum Master's high performance with the team in the past. This type of respect is often much more effective at helping the team consider the Scrum Master's opinion rather than the respect simply assigned by role power in the organization if the Scrum Master was also an authority figure to the team in the past. But beyond being respected by the team, a successful Scrum Master also needs to be respected by the organization. One of the Scrum Master's most important responsibilities is to make the team as effective as possible by constantly removing any impediments that may arise and slow them down. Sometimes these impediments are contained within the bounds of the team and can be addressed within the team. But many times, these impediments are rooted in the broader organization outside of the team's sphere of influence. For this reason, a Scrum Master who is adept at interacting at multiple levels can be significantly more effective at removing the impediments necessary to keep their team moving, rather than one who is very effective within the confines of the team, but hasn't yet developed the skills necessary to navigate the political waters of the broader organization. This organizational proficiency, though, isn't just limited to the act of removing impediments. A strong political acumen may also be necessary to defend the team from external influences to ensure that they're allowed to work at a sustainable pace. Often, one of the biggest adjustments an organization must make when adopting Scrum is understanding and accepting the concept of sustainable pace. Sustainable pace is the idea that a team will not work at a higher pace than they can sustain for an indefinite amount of time without leading to a reduction in quality or team member burnout. Prior to Scrum, many organizations find that 60-hour-a-week death marches are the norm for many of their teams in the final weeks before a release. Scrum, on the other hand, stresses that planning for a project must assume that a team can work no more hours a week than they could sustain for an extended period of time, usually 40 hours. Since this may be a tough concept for an organization to internalize early on, the Scrum Master must have the political clout necessary in the organization to reset expectations in order to protect the team from pressure to work beyond a sustainable pace just to meet demands that were either set before the team adopted the Scrum framework or that are being set by key members of the organization who aren't supporting the Scrum adoption. Ironically, the Scrum Master often finds himself in this position twice. First, when the team is first adopting Scrum and, as with any new practice, may be seeing their productivity dip as they learn the ropes of this new way of working. And secondly, after the team has had a few successes with Scrum and is starting to deliver high-quality work at a predictable pace, and an organization's natural inclination is to believe that they are capitalizing on this success by pushing the team harder. Note that since this pressure may often come from the top tiers of the organization, this doesn't necessarily mean that the Scrum Master is expected to have the political clout and astuteness necessary to, for example, change the mind of the CEO. Rather, a Scrum Master can actually be quite successful at building strong relationships 1 to 2 levels above their own in the organization, and then using those relationships to influence leaders at levels who, in turn, can begin to share their influence in the team's favor at levels above them. To put it another way, the organization, the political skills that I'm referring to here do not mean that a Scrum Master can only be successful if they can exert influence over every other member of the organization, but rather that they can find success simply by understanding how influence is spread throughout the organization and then influencing the paths necessary to reach their desired effect. An extension of the Scrum Master being well respected throughout the broader organization is that they also need to be respected by the product owner. The Scrum Master product owner relationship is one of the most important relationships that a Scrum Master has. While technical product owners, or product owners that originally came from an organization's product delivery division, and thus already have a strong relationship with the team, are becoming more and more common, more often than not, the product owner comes from another part of the organization, usually a business development focused division such as sales or marketing. If the product owner and the Scrum Master have not yet worked together in the past, then one of a few scenarios may be likely. The first scenario is that the product owner has no previous relationship with the team or the Scrum Master, but also has no previously existing opinion. This means that the Scrum Master and the product owner are effectively starting the relationship from a blank slate and will need to work to build rapport and trust. This is one of the best case scenarios though, since it gives the product owner and the Scrum Master a clean foundation from which to build on. The second scenario is that although the product owner may or may not have a previous relationship with either the team or the Scrum Master, they do have a previously formed negative opinion of the team that they will carry into their new role as the product owner. This isn't an uncommon scenario, especially in organizations where the software delivery division has previously suffered to the extent that the broader organization has made the decision to adopt the Scrum framework in the first place. In this case, the Scrum Master often has to work to address and eventually quell the concerns of the product owner before they can begin to build an effective relationship from which to work. The final scenario is that regardless of any previous working experience between the product owner and the Scrum Master, the product owner is already coming to the relationship with a very positive opinion of both the team and the Scrum Master. This is ideal since this gives the product owner and Scrum Master an already existing momentum from which they can further and foster the growth of their relationship. Not only is it necessary for the team, the Scrum Master, and the product owner to all create an effective working relationship, but as a steward of the Scrum framework, the Scrum Master will often find themselves coaching the product owner on specific ways to be more effective in their role. For this coaching to truly be effective, the Scrum Master would need to have earned the respect of the product owner, or at least the part of the organization that the product owner comes from, before the product owner will even begin to consider and accept the Scrum Master's guidance. The last quality that's important for a successful Scrum Master is a strong understanding of an organization's software development flow. Specifically, a Scrum Master will need to understand in detail how their organization takes a feature from concept to delivery, as well as both what and who are specifically involved each step of the way. This will be invaluable once the Scrum team has had some early successes with the Scrum framework and begins to consider how they can tune their process overall. Having an in-depth understanding of how each step of the process ties together and what the dynamics are between each party that's involved will be crucial to identifying areas where the Scrum team as a whole can better work together.